This morning we're going to be tying a Klinkhammer style version of a fly that hatches in the Mackenzie-Willamette valleys around September, October. It's the Aperis mayfly, and locally we call them the pink ladies because when they are freshly emerged they have a really bright kind of pink body. So what we've got here today is a new hook from Daiichi. This is the 1160 Klinkhammer hook, fine wire, straight top, part of the shank, and a nice rebend, as you can see, with the point basically sticking up towards the eye of the hook. I've got some 8/0 rusty dun uni thread here that I'm tying with. I've already covered the shank with thread, and now I'm going to tie in a tail. For tail, I'm going to use about 6 pieces of Coq de Leon. Now we get some really nice speckled effect. Measure that out. With the Klinkhammer, it's a little bit harder to measure, like kind of true to the shank of the hook, because the hooks are generally longer than the actual bugs are going to be. So tie those in place there.
Now the pink lady too is a spring summer fly in some parts of the world too. Killer hatch in the Rockies, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming as well.
Interesting. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie in a piece of sulfur-colored biot. Tie your biot in place here. I'm going to take a thin bead of Zap-A-Gap with our bodkin. Lay that along the hook shank so to secure that biot down in place. So make about 4 or 5 wraps of that. Maybe you might get as many as, let's say, 6 off there. And that's all right. The body will be a little bit short. We're going to add a little tiny segment here of the abdomen in fluorescent coral. And this is regular rabbit fur dyed fluorescent pink, basically. We've talked a lot in other videos about little tiny triggers to get the fish to go. And this is just a tiny bright spot. Go. Now we'll take the thread up just a little bit further, and we've got a piece of gray sparkle emerger yarn here. This is going to be the parachute post for the Klinkhammer. Make sure that that's nice and tight on there, and then we'll parachute wrap that so we can get our hackle on that post.
And you're seeing a lot of these done with brighter colored posts as well.
Sure.
And you could do that for a high vis. I kind of like the natural ones myself.
I'm a little bit bigger fan of the natural as well. I've definitely caught my fair share of fish on the bright post, but it seems like the natural works a little bit better. Oftentimes I'll hold off those parachute unless the angler really can't see the fly.
I mean, you wouldn't think the fish would see that, but I don't know what my problem is with the bright ones.
Just haven't had as good luck with it.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure about that one. Again, we're going to use another little gather of Zap-A-Gap. Take your bodkin. So for those of us who have had difficulties in the past getting those parachute posts to stay nice and upright, Zap-A-Gap. Zap-A-Gap, Zap-A-Gap. I've got a beautiful dun-colored pro-grade Hebert Minor dry fly cape. I mean, we don't need long saddles when you have feathers that are as beautiful as that. There's no doubt about it. I've got a single. I've sized it already to the size 14 that we're using. This fly usually comes off here about a 14 or 16. So other places I know that they tend to be a little bit on the smaller side, but we're blessed with big bugs. I'll wrap that into place. I've got some dry fly dubbing in just a straight Adams gray coloration. Make a nice little noodle there. Build up a slightly bigger thorax. Take our hackle and get it into the pliers. Now in other parts of the country, again, it may be just a single wrap or two of hackle, but we fish a little bit bigger water out here. Having a bunch of hackle is never a bad thing.
And this fly in like an olive body, a March brown body, just straight up pheasant color on the body, kind of do it all.
Really, it does, and just a great new hook. And so I'll just kind of get all that stuff out of my way with my fingers there, make a nice little head. Few wraps there with the whip finisher. Straighten out our hackle just a bit. You can see I left the post pretty large there. I'll trim that down. And there you have a completed Pink Lady Klinkhammer emerger. It's one of my favorites. I hope it's one of yours too.